what is the motivation. So see, until recently, DNNs were used for simple applications such as image classification, mostly like fun applications or just time, for example, creative applications or entertainment. And they used on-site computing. For example, if I'm using the DNN, I will just use my own computer for this. And we were running DNNs on high-end systems which are equipped with ECC or error correcting code. For example, I will use high-end GPU, which already have ECC. So even if some mistake happens, some error happens, that can be corrected using error correcting codes. But now DNNs are used for mission-critical applications such as autonomous driving, right? So there you can't afford to, to tolerate any error. Plus, DNN training is no longer happening locally. We outsource it to clouds, right? For example, we will purchase, for example, some cloud credits on Google or Microsoft Cloud. There we will use it. And if someone is designing some accelerator, for example, TPU, so the design company may be sitting in one city, then verification team may be in another city, and fabrication probably will happen in Taiwan, TSMC or something. So now you can see that there is a chain. So anyone can insert some malicious code or make some undesired changes, right? If your whole chip tape out is happening locally, it's one thing. But if it is happening globally, it's completely different thing altogether. Now AI market is becoming bigger and bigger. Now another thing is like training a neural network takes a lot of time. Many. In fact, I think some of the most biggest network, I think GPT-3. If you take 1024 GPUs, it will take you 4 months to train it. Right? Just imagine 1024 GPUs will take you 4 months. So now it's very, very costly. So who will take that much time and effort to design those parameters? It's much better that somebody else designs it and you just steal it, right? That's it's for Ajgar Vratti, right? Ajgar never makes its own hole. A mouse makes it, then the Cobra, the Python, whatever you call it, he goes, kills the mouse, and he itself lives there. So simply that's the idea of stealing others' model. So here are now there could be different types of security threats to a DNN. First is you don't stop others from doing, like you don't harm them, you just leak their secret, right? So by leaking the DNN architecture, adversary can design it better even before the owner. Now another thing is where you actually inflict some fault or some harm so that they also stop working. That's called like fault injection attack. So attacker can change specific weights to degrade accuracy or cause malfunction. That means suppose if my GPU is getting is being executed on, so sorry, my neural network is being executed on a GPU. Now, if you are a malicious person, you will somehow stop that from running, right? Or for example, there will be some online services which provide classification or something. So if I change some weights, then accuracy will go down drastically. So either accuracy goes down drastically so that even it's functioning but of no use, or it's not even functioning. You just stop it from working. Now, targeted misclassification attack changes the prediction of only specific images so that average accuracy is not affected. For example, suppose there is a traffic sign recognition benchmark. Actually, our own group has done this very recently. So, for example, we have German traffic sign recognition benchmark where there are 43 traffic signs. Some of them are, for example, speed limit 20, speed limit 40, yield, stop sign, children crossing, and so on, right? So if you can just make one class getting misclassified, for example, stop sign is misclassified. All other classes are perfectly, properly identified, but just one stop sign class is misidentified. Then what happens? Tell me, if only stop class, the stop sign class is getting misclassified, all other classes are working properly. Then what happens? Vikas Sahu. What is the impact? Okay, anyone? What happens if only one class is getting misclassified? All of the classes are perfectly classified properly. Anyone? No idea. Okay. See, if suppose all the classes were getting misclassified, you will detect the defect very quickly because your system is not able to work properly. But if only one class is getting misclassified, you don't realize it. Only when you, for example, reach a stop sign and you miss it, then you recognize, oh, my network cannot recognize stop sign. Right? So this attack is very stealthy. Stealthy means hidden. Because average accuracy is not much harm, right? Out of the 43 classes, we degraded the accuracy of only one class. All the 42 classes are very nicely identified, but only one class could not be identified. So the owner, suppose I am the owner, you are the adversary, I am not able to recognize, oh, that my network has become suddenly, useless, because if it doesn't stop, it will get fined or it will harm someone else. It will get into accident. So that's why one thing is to degrade the accuracy of all the classes. Another thing is to degrade the accuracy of only just one class. So that it is very, very stealthy. So here we are not changing the input image. Input image remains as it is. If you're using autonomous driving, you're not changing the surroundings. You're just the attacker is just changing in your input. Another thing is we can feed imperceptibly different images to cause misclassification. So I should have probably included those images. So here, what you do, you insert some noise into the image so that the human eye is not able to distinguish that it is slightly different image, but the prediction changes completely. Okay, so probably next time I will try to include some examples here, okay, in this slide, so that you can more easily appreciate what's a security, what are the different types of security. Now, similarly, as you know, in the medical domain, it's very highly confidential, right? It is someone's information; it's highly private. So, if you can find out about someone else, you can maybe blackmail them. Okay? So that's why a DNS should not reveal, right, on which image it is working. Now, there are some reasons, see, why attacking DNS is difficult and why it is easy. Okay? So DNS have insolution to fault injection attacks, such as because it has value, batch normalization, dropout, and overhead parameterization. So I will not discuss all of them. I'll just discuss about ReLU, because you will study all of them probably in a full course. So I don't want to do everything here. So in ReLU, what happens? You know what is ReLU? Activation function, right? So ReLU activation function is like this. So it goes like this. For negative value, it is 0. And for positive value, it is just x. So if any input value is negative, it will anyway become 0. So whether it was -3 or -5, it does not matter, because all the input values will anyway become 0. Right? So as long as your attack changes a value from, for example, -7 to -7 to suppose -90 or whatever, minus some value, it doesn't matter because value will anyway suppress it. So that means there are, just like, if a malicious person is going, there may be barricades or maybe police checkpost. If not on the first checkpost, at least on second checkpost, he will be caught and detected. Okay, so that's why there are inbuilt security mechanisms to some degree, but still somebody can even suppress all of them, right? Now, distinguishing kernels or different layers is difficult. So what happens? See, now if you want to suppose you want to find out, as I said here, leaking the DNN architecture. So how will you leak it? So leaking the DNN architecture means you find out how many layers are there, what is the filter size, is it 3x3 filter, or is it 5x5 or 7x7 filter? How many filters are there at 32 or 64 or 128? Right? All these things you want to find out. So this is your goal, but doing this is not so easy, because if you remember, we have discussed that convolution operation is usually merged with activation and pooling. So they cannot be distinguished because off-chip access is made only once for these layers. So it's not that, it's not that you will make off-chip access after convolution, then after pooling, and then after activation function. You will execute all of them on chip, and only at the end you will make off-chip accesses. So now you cannot distinguish when convolution operation has finished, when pooling has started, or when pooling has finished, because you have merged all of them. So it's very difficult to distinguish them. So the whole point is, see, the point is, I want to suppose leak out what's happening in someone's office, some high priority office, or maybe highly confidential office, maybe some exam. People are making JEE question paper. I want to leak it. So now you see it's not easy, right? They will have some mechanisms for protecting it. So that's what I'm discussing here. Why it is so difficult? It's not child's play to attack a DNA, right? For example, if you want to insert some faults. Now DNAs have so many weights, right? We discussed AlexNet has 61 million parameters. So which weight should I change if I want to introduce fault? Which weight should I introduce fault? Because if I randomly introduce faults, it is of no use. Right? I have to really find out which weights are most important. There is no right. For example, just as if you think it like suppose a thief. Suppose a thief has 5 hours to steal in the night, right? Suppose people go to sleep at 11 and they wake up, maybe, or at least they can be more. They may be able to see or a guard may come after 4 a.m. So that means a thief has between 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. to steal. So now within 5 hours he has to steal the house. So he can't take everything, right? He can't bring a truck and take away everything. He has to really find out what are the most precious things, maybe jewelry or mobile phone or some passport documents and so on, some keys or passwords, something like that. So now time is very limited. So within the time he has to do maximal damage. So similarly here also, if I'm an attacker, I can't attack all the weights of the neural network, right? So this is I don't know whether you have taken a security course before or not, but these are all the challenges in a security domain. You have to find out what are the weak links of a chain, or what are the most precious things, right? That's why, for example, actually today we are all talking about attacks as if we are a terrorist. So if I was a terrorist, I will not attack a normal person, right? I will attack probably the biggest person of a state or a country, because that will give us the maximum advantage. So similarly here also, we will attack those as an adversary. You will attack those weights which are the most important for accuracy. So finding those weights is not easy. So this is the challenge. So here I will introduce one definition of just one attack. That's called sidechain attack. Okay. So here in this slide, I will just introduce the definition. So what is a sidechain attack? So sidechain attack is, suppose I'm a professor. So suppose I come to my office. Now there's a student who wants to find out whether the professor is in his office or not. So what he does, he puts his ear on the wall. If there is some noise inside, so then he can find out whether the professor is there in the office. Okay. So whole point is, he's not directly seeing the professor. He's inferring it through some other channel. That's why it's called side channel. Right? Understood? Suppose, as we another example, suppose like here's my monitor and you are sitting behind, suppose you are sitting on a chair here. Now you don't know what is on my screen, right? Because you are sitting behind the monitor. But suppose just by my facial expression, I suddenly become very, very happy. So what you can infer, probably some good news has happened, right? Or if I suddenly become very, very sad, maybe some rejection or some accident or some bad thing has happened. So this is an example that you are not directly observing my screen, but through some hints, right? Or through some side information you are recognizing or you are finding out. That's why it's called side chain. So similarly, suppose now take the real example which we explained. Suppose we have a deep neural network which is running. Okay. Suddenly you observe that it's making a lot of noise and it is dissipating a lot of heat. You then observe, oh, maybe it's a fully connected layer, because in fully connected layer we have a lot of weights. For that we have to access the memory, and when we access the memory, it it requires a lot of energy. But when the activity is very, very low, maybe it's just a pooling layer. Pooling layer does not do any computations. So pooling layer has very small resource consumption. So you can, so the point is you can observe the power consumption. You can observe some other factors like number of instructions executed, number of branch instructions executed, number of cache misses. From that, you correlate which layer it is, right? And what is the duration, and so on. So you try to find out as much information about the operation being done. Similarly, you can have electromagnetic radiations, right? You know, depending on the activity being done, certain amount of electromagnetic radiations will be emitted. So from that you can infer, you can correlate. When it is cooling layer, very, very little electromagnetic radiation. But when it is convolution layer, it is so much electromagnetic radiation. So like this. So that's why it's called side channel. You correlate it with some other thing. So here we have a spy which uses a side channel to infer what the victim is doing. So for example, in this case, professor was the victim, and the person who is trying to find out that whether the professor is there, that's called a spy. So here, for example, I gave you this example. For example, you are running your application on a cloud. Cloud means suppose I take Google's cloud resources for training my DNA. Now another person also takes, and somehow he co-locates. Somehow it happens that my neural network and his neural network both are on the same GPU. Now suppose GPU gives a lot of resources to my neural network, he does not get any resources. So that time you can find out, okay, now I'm executing very computation intensive job. After some time, I am given less resources, his GPU, his task is given more resources. So now he can find out, okay, now cooling layer is being executed. So in this way, here he's doing spy work. Right? He's doing spy work. Similarly, in the cache side channel. So whole point is wherever you are sharing the resources, just as for example, suppose if I'm going with my own two-wheeler, you are going with your two-wheeler to your school, you can't find out whether I'm coming to office or not. But suppose both of us are coming with a shared bus. Suppose we have a college bus. Both of us come by college bus. So if I'm absent, you can very quickly find out that professor is not coming. But if both of us are going with our separate vehicle, it's very difficult to find out. So similarly, wherever there are sharing of resources, then security challenge comes up. Right? Because with sharing comes also this interference on each other. Right? I interfere with you, you interfere with me. Right? If all of us sit in our own room, we can't find about each other. But if we go to common room for taking our lunch, then you can find out that whether this person has come today or not. So that's the idea. Similarly, like cache. If different applications share a cache, then a spy can know about its core-running victim application from its cache behavior. For example, if my task is running, your task is running. If my task is requiring so much cache memory and you don't get any cache memory, then you can find out, oh, right now I'm running, Dr. Sparsh is running very cache-intensive application. After some time, I don't need any cache. So you can find out, okay, now he's running very, very lightweight application, which can't be convolution because convolution requires a lot of cache misses, something like that, right? So in this, we can find out, the point here is to leak someone's secret. So neural network secrets, if somebody can leak that, he can cause a lot of harm. So this is the end.